Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Liacouras Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Dynamite tonight, I thought it was a very good show. Really enjoyed Dynamite tonight. I thought the 2 hours flew by really fast, and it was much better than last week's show. But tonight on Dynamite, we had MJF versus Juice Robinson for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Would MJF make it 5 in a row on holding on to the Dynamite Diamond Ring? I'll get to explain that in a few. We had Rob Van Dam. He was in action tonight. He ended up teaming up with Hook to take on John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. The Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championship was on the line, where Hangman Page and the Young Bucks defend the titles against the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, and Brother Zay. We had the AEW Women's World Championship on the line. Hikaru Shida defended the title against Ruby Soho. And in the main event, we had Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson. They ended up taking on Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada, making his AEW debut here. And we also had another person making his AEW debut, which was a gift from Tony Khan to Sting, which I will get to. But overall, very good Dynamite this was tonight. Very enjoyable. And the show just flew by very fast. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with Renee Paquette. She was backstage and she was talking with the AEW World Champion, MJF. So MJF called Adam Cole to check in on him. And then he was interrupted by Adam! Roderick Strong and the Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. So Roderick Strong offered to help MJF with the Bullet Club Gold. But MJF ended up pushing Roderick Strong away, and then he ended up addressing Juice Robinson. So MJF was interrupted again by someone in his devil mask. We still don't know who is in the devil mask and who attacked Jay White, backstage, with those guys, and that certain someone wearing that devil mask. Still, no explanation as to why they went after Jay White. So that was basically that. And then we had the first match of the night. MJF versus Juice Robinson. This was for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF already won it 4 years in a row. Would he win it 5 in a row tonight? Here we go to explain that. But this was a good match to open Dynamite tonight. MJF and Juice Robinson, they gave it all they got here. They worked well. So MJF ended up going after Juice Robinson, rock hard Juice Robinson. I don't know if you all know that Juice Robinson is rock hard. So MJF ended up sending Juice Robinson to the barricade, and MJF ended up sending Juice Robinson flying over a table at ringside. What was funny was MJF ended up grabbing a bottle of water as the ref started to count. So MJF took a sip of the water and he spit the water in Juice Robinson's face. and MJF slided back into the ring to break the count. And what was funny was MJF flipped off the ref, which was really funny. So MJF ended up going right back out of the ring. He ended up rushing at Juice Robinson at the barricade with a running knee strike. MJF then ended up dragging Robinson back to ringside because when MJF ended up delivering that run knee strike, Robinson went over the barricade into the crowd. So MJF then dragged Robinson back to ringside. He ended up sending Robinson into the ring post, and we had MJF end up going back to the ring to break the ref's count again. So this eventually led to MJF bringing Robinson to the ring steps. He ended up driving Robinson's face into the top of the steps. So we had the Colton boys out there, Austin and Colton, and they were yelling at MJF to bring Robinson back to the ring, which that turned out to be a distraction for Robinson. So Robinson ended up nailing MJF with a DDT, sending MJF onto the apron. He ended up bringing MJF back to the ring. He went for the cover, and MJF ended up kicking out. So Austin and Colton, they were distracting the ref. Juice Robinson got handed MJF's scarf. So Robinson started to choke MJF with his scarf, with MJF's scarf. So Robinson ended up going back on the attack on MJF. He ended up going for the cover, and MJF ended up kicking out. And pretty much when MJF ended up driving Robinson's face into the top of the ring steps, Juice Robinson was bleeding profusely. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Juice Robinson tried to use MJF's scarf again, and Austin and Colton were intervening. But MJF ended up turning things around on Robinson. The ref, who was Bryce Rumsberg, ended up catching MJF with the scarf. MJF let it go, and he dodged a kick from Robinson. And MJF started mounting Robinson up with some punches in the corner. He then took Juice Robinson down to the canvas, and MJF was calling for the kangaroo kick, which he eventually did. He ended up connecting with the kangaroo kick to Juice Robinson, which Juice Robinson flew out of the ring, and the crowd was cheering for MJF to deliver a dive, but Austin and Colton tripped MJF up on the rope, and Juice Robinson ended up taking MJF down with a thrust kick. He ended up going for the cover, and MJF ended up kicking out. MJF got back to his feet, and both him and Robinson were trading strikes to each other. So we had Juice Robinson end up missing a wide left hand to MJF, which allowed MJF to deliver a left hand to Robinson. So Robinson responded to that. He ended up spitting in MJF's face, and we had Robinson end up delivering a left-handed God to MJF, which was followed up by a powerbomb. MJF then grabbed the ropes on the way down, and Robinson ended up, again, a near fall. So Robinson went back on the attack. He ended up getting away from a heat seeker from MJF. MJF then ended up diving onto Austin and Colton at ringside. Robinson ended up going after MJF, but he ended up set up against the apron as MJF ended up raking Juice Robinson's eyes. Robinson was back in the ring. He ended up catching MJF, and he ended up going for the cover, and MJF ended up kicking out. So once again, Austin and Colton were trying to intervene, and we have Bryce Rumsberg dealing with the guns, and Robinson ended up setting up his Zirconia ring, and MJF ended up getting the same idea. He used the Dynamite Diamond ring to hit a knockout punch on Robinson. So we had MJF end up clearing out the guns. He ended up nailing Robinson with the heat seeker. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. MJF ended up winning the match, and MJF is still the holder of the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So it's 5 in a row that MJF has held the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So hopefully next year, 6 in a row for MJF. They're not going to take that Dynamite Diamond Ring off of MJF anytime. Post-match, we had Austin and Colton. They end up rushing MJF right after the bell rang. They end up attacking him. And then Roderick Strong and the Kingdom end up rushing down to make the save. So the Kingdom got cut off by the Guns, and they end up going back to work on MJF. And then the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn end up coming out to, even things out. So the Guns end up rushing out of the ring to regroup, and Jay White got on the mic. Jay White, who I forgot to mention, was on commentary during the match here with MJF and Juice Robinson. So Jay White got on the mic. He called out MJF from the ramp. Jay White ended up telling MJF not to worry about all these other people wanting a shot at the AEW World Championship. He kept saying only on the fact that he will beat MJF repeatedly to hold on to the Bang Bang belt, which he describes the AEW World Championship. So the Guns, Austin and Colton, end up kind of promo on MJF, and the Guns demanded a shot at the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. So then they got interrupted by MJF. MJF ended up accepting their challenge, and that's going to be taking place at Full Gear. So it's going to be the Guns versus MJF at Full Gear. And MJF ended up saying that next week he will team with 3 guys of his choosing to take on Bullet Club Gold. And he will get his AEW World Championship back because nobody is on the level of the Devil. So then Roderick Strong ended up saying that MJF will obviously pick him and the Kingdom. But MJF ended up telling Roderick Strong to roll off a cliff. So obviously MJF is not picking Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. And Roderick Strong, there he was like, Max! Max! So then Max Caster ended up saying that means that MJF will pick them. He'll pick the Acclaim and Billy Gunn. But MJF ended up saying that he wouldn't tag with Caster, even if his body was on fire. So Caster ended up saying that means there's a chance, and he wants to scissor. But MJF ended up shutting them down. MJF then left the ring, and he headed up the ramp, and Kenny Omega's music ended up hitting. Omega came out to the stage. Omega and MJF ended up staring each other down. Omega had a mic in hand, and Omega ended up saying that MJF has something he wants. But he has something MJF wants. Omega ended up saying that MJF is going to hear him out because he wants to defend his streak. He ended up saying that MJF knows exactly what that means. So Omega ended up offering a challenge to MJF. So this Saturday on Collision, it's going to be Omega versus MJF for the AEW World Championship. So both Omega and MJF end up shaking hands, and Omega end up going to MJF 3 days, bitch. So it's just like what MJF said to Omega last week, where he was like, well, 13 days, bitch. Meaning MJF might beat Omega's streak as AEW World Champion. So pretty much that was that. But good match between MJF and Juice Robinson for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Obviously, everybody knew that MJF was going to win this. MJF was going to make it 5 in a row. So, and MJF versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. It's going to be a banger Saturday on Collision. So, going to tune in for that. It's going to be a banger of match. So looking forward to that Saturday night. And as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw a video package. And it was Wardlow. Wardlow was explaining about him being home for 4 months and watching MJF become the name of the company. He kept saying that he saw the man he beat main event the biggest show in the history of the business. Wardlow ended up saying that changes a man. He kept saying that he has felt the devil's claws dig deeper into his back. He kept saying MJF has nothing to take from him. So Wardlow was like, he will take everything from MJF. So Wardlow is eyeing the AEW World Championship. Probably going to see MJF and Wardlow go at it for the title. And, Wardlow and MJF, they have their history. You remember Wardlow ended up accompanying MJF. So we're going right back to that feud with Wardlow and MJF. And then we had John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order versus Hook and Rob Van Dam. The tag team match. This was a good match here. We had Evil Uno out there as well. So the match got underway. Alex Reynolds ended up talking trash to Hook. And we had Hook ended up taking Alex Reynolds down to the mat. Hook ended up controlling Alex Reynolds' arm. He ended up tagging in Rob Van Dam. And we had John Silver end up escaping to the ropes. Him and Reynolds ended up double teaming on RVD. John Silver ended up going back in the attack on RVD. And so RVD ended up sending John Silver away. So RVD made the tag to Hook and ended up clearing John Silver and Alex Reynolds out of the ring. And then Dynamite went to commercial. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Hook ended up hitting a gut-wrench powerbomb to John Silver. And he tagged in Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam delivered some kicks to John Silver. And then he delivered a leg drop on Silver. Alex Reynolds rushed into the ring. RVD ended up driving Reynolds away. And then he pinned the Rolling Thunder on John Silver. Vintage RVD there. So RVD ended up going for the cover. Reynolds then broke up the pin. So RVD ended up tagging in. He ended up going for a cover. And he ended up getting stopped once again. So we had RVD end up getting the tag to Hook. So Hook ended up going off on John Silver. He was looking to go for the Red Rum. And then Alex Reynolds rushed in to stop Hook from delivering the Red Rum to Silver. So Evil Uno ended up rushing in with a steel chair as the ref was dealing with Alex Reynolds, who was Aubrey Edwards. So we had RVD end up hitting Evil Uno with the Van Daminator. RVD ended up going up to the top, and he delivered the 5-star frog splash on Alex Reynolds. Hook then locked in the Red Rum on Silver, and there you go. Hook and Rob Van Dam ended up winning the match. Overall, good tag team match this was. Rob Van Dam, he still has it. Still seeing him do the Rolling Thunder and the 5-star frog splash. Just awesome. Still going at his age. And then we went backstage. And RJ City, he ended up introducing Timeless Tony Storm. So we had another silent picture from Timeless Tony Storm. And then Dynamite went to commercial. So we ended up seeing that. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He was in the ring with Sting. And this was Tony Khan's gift to Sting. So Sting got on the mic. He ended up thanking the crowd in Philly for everything. And he ended up thanking Darby Allin for all his help since he came to AEW. Of course, Darby Allin was also out there. Sting then ended up thanking Tony Khan for giving him the chance to go on one more run and end things on his own terms. So Sting then handed the mic back to Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone ended up thanking Sting for everything he's done over the years. He ended up mentioning what Sting has done over the 35 years on TBS. And he ended up saying that they're bringing out the special gift for Sting now. And all we heard was, woo! Yes, RIC FLAIR. RIC FLAIR was Tony Khan's gift to Sting. So RIC FLAIR made his AEW debut tonight. And I'm like, with this happening, please don't tell me that it's going to be RIC FLAIR versus Sting. This is going to be the Revolution match for Sting's final match. Please don't. If it is, I'm going to laugh. So RIC FLAIR walked down the ramp, got a big ovation from the crowd, and Sting was surprised at this. It looked like Sting didn't even know that RIC FLAIR was going to, be here. So, RIC FLAIR was the one that put Sting on the map years ago. So, we had RIC FLAIR and Sting end up embracing each other. Flair hugged Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone ended up welcoming RIC FLAIR to AEW. RIC FLAIR ended up saying that there are moments in this business that are magical. He ended up talking about the first ever Clash of the Champions, which happened 35 years ago on TBS. He ended up giving Sting his props for giving it his all, and for Sting staying strong over the years. Flair ended up saying that when he got an invite from Tony Khan to be here, he couldn't say no. He ended up saying that he wants to be here the whole journey for Sting, all the way to his retirement. And that led to Flair doing his signature, woo! And then Christian Cage, the TNT champion, ended up coming out. Christian Cage interrupted this moment between Ric Flair and Sting, and Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne also came out. Christian Cage got on the mic. He ended up saying that Tony Khan is a billionaire, and this is the gift he gets. He ended up saying that he gave him a suit, gold chains, and a black lever, which he was talking to, Ric Flair, because Ric Flair, had a lot of gold chains on him. So Christian ended up saying that it's impressive that Flair doesn't look like Weekend at Bernie's. So Christian ended up saying that he knows Ric Flair isn't dead, and he knows there isn't a God, because if there was, Flair would have been dead 20 years ago. Christian ended up saying that this situation won't go away until he makes it. He ended up saying that he knows Sting wants to make it to Revolution, and that it's a beautiful picture, but he sees it differently. He ended up saying that he wants Sting gone right now. So Christian ended up suggesting Sting and Darby Allin get a partner, and at Full Gear, it won't be a celebration. It will be more like a funeral. So Sting got on the mic, and he ended up accepting. So he did a fake sneeze. He ended up saying that he's allergic to jackasses. So pretty much that was basically that, but there you go. There's your trios match at Full Gear. Sting, Darby Allin, and a partner of their choosing versus Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus. Who will be Sting and Darby Allin's partner? Who knows? But it's not Ric Flair. It's not going to be. And with Ric Flair being here tonight, I pray to the wrestling gods. I pray that they did not bring Ric Flair in here for Sting's opponent at Revolution. I hope Ric Flair is not Sting's final opponent. I hope not. And like I said before, if it is, I am going to laugh. I am going to laugh if it's Ric Flair versus Sting at Revolution, and that's Sting's retirement match. Please. Ric Flair should just stay retired and stay out of the ring. We don't want to see Ric Flair in another match. Stay retired. But this was a good segment here. Was shocked to see Ric Flair here in AEW making his debut here. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage. She was talking to Chris Jericho about what happened with him and Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Jericho ended up admitting that the thing that hurts the most for him is his ego. He ended up telling Renee that he is always reflecting, and he's always had immense self-confidence in knowing that he could beat anybody. Jericho ended up saying that he didn't see it coming against Powerhouse Hobbs. He ended up saying, does it still have what it takes to beat him? Is it time to step back? Or is it time to get stronger and know that he's Chris fucking Jericho? He ended up saying that, is it time to get revenge? Jericho wanted to say that Don Callis has a lot of friends. Jericho ended up saying that he has a lot of friends too, and some are even bigger than Hobbs. So Jericho was like, maybe it's time to give him a call. And pretty much that was basically what Jericho, had to say. But with Jericho ended up saying, oh, I have friends that are bigger than Hobbs, and it may be time to make a call to one of them. Calling it right now. That call that Jericho is going to make is going to be to Paul White. Watch, it will be Paul White. Big Show. So, watch that happen. Calling it right now. And then we had Hangman Page and the Young Bucks versus the Hardys, Man Jeff Hardy, and Brother Zay. This was for the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championship. This was an entertaining match here. So Zay and Nick Jackson start off the match. Nick Jackson ended up hitting a hip toss on Zay. So Nick Jackson ended up still going on the attack on Brother Zay. He ended up clearing both the Hardys off the apron. So Nick Jackson made the tag to Hangman Page. Page ended up going off on Zay. Zay then ended up making the tag to Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy ended up escaping to the ropes to avoid an attack by Page. Page then tagged in Matt Jackson. So Matt Jackson and Matt Hardy, the two Matts end up going at it. Matt Hardy ended up going after Matt Jackson's arm. Matt Jackson ended up fighting back until Brother Zay ended up tagging in. So Brother Zay and the Hardys end up in control of the match, being down on Matt Jackson. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Matt Jackson end up taking out both Brother Zay and Matt Hardy with a stereo Northern Light suplex. So we had Page end up tagging in. He ended up going for the cover on Brother Zay. Brother Zay ended up kicking out. So Page was looking to go for the dead eye, but Jeff Hardy ended up getting involved. Brother Zay ended up hitting silly string to Page. He ended up going for the cover, and Page ended up kicking out. So we had later on Matt Hardy ended up coming in. He ended up stopping an attack by the Bucks. Brother Zay ended up knocking down Matt Jackson, and Hangman Page ended up hitting a buckshot lariat on Zay. So we had the Bucks end up hitting the BT trigger to Brother Zay. So they end up going for the cover, and there you go. Hangman Page and the Young Bucks end up winning the match, retaining the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championship. So post-match, the celebration was cut short. And on the Titantron, we saw Swerve and Prince Nana at Hangman and Page's home. So they entered the home, and Page ended up rushing up the ramp out of anger. Swerve then started making fun of things around Hangman and Page's house. Swerve sat himself down on Page's couch, and he picked up a children's book, and he started reading it. Swerve then heard a noise coming from up the stairs. So Swerve rushed up the stairs, and he arrived at Page's child's room, to which Prince Nana told Swerve that he doesn't like this idea. So Swerve ended up saying that Page owes him a debt, and he questions if Hangman Jr. will pay him the debt. So he left the baby a t-shirt as a reminder that they're always in debt to him. So pretty much that was that, but crazy how, Swerve, was in Page's home, and, with the, baby up there, like, oh, where's Page's wife? So, but really like this, and it was a good match. It was a good match for the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championship with Page, the Bucks, and the Hardys and Brothers A. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was talking to Adam Copeland about what we saw earlier in the night, with Christian Cage and, Sting Darby Allin. So Copeland ended up telling Renee that he still doesn't want to fight Christian. Darby Allin and Sting ended up coming up to Copeland. Darby Allin ended up saying, that's not the world we are living in. It's kill or be killed here. Sting then ended up saying that he can't believe we are having this conversation, and that Copeland needs to take his blinders off. He ended up saying he learned how to see through guys like Christian. And so Sting ended up telling Copeland to open his eyes. So pretty much that was that. So maybe next week, maybe Adam Copeland will be Sting and Darby Allin's partner. So I'm taking a guess there. Who knows? And then we had Hikaru Shida versus Ruby Soho. This was for the AEW Women's World Championship. This was a meh match here. So the match started off with both Shida and Soho end up locking up. Shida ended up getting the advantage, but Soho turned her around. She delivered some strikes to Shida. Soho ended up getting countered by Shida. So we had Shida end up coming back on the offense on Soho. She ended up taking Soho down to the canvas, but Soho ended up heading to the corner, and she ended up evading an attack from Shida. She ended up dropping Shida and went for the cover, so Shida ended up kicking out. So this all led to both Shida and Soho end up getting near falls on each other. So Ruby was in the corner. Shida ended up mounting up with some punches to Soho. So Shida ended up hitting a missile drop kick on Soho. Soho then ended up escaping the ring, and she ended up catching Shida on the outside and delivered the no future to her. So then Dynamite went to commercial. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, both Soho and Shida ended up getting back to their feet. They were exchanging some strikes to each other. Shida ended up getting up Soho on her shoulders. So Shida ended up delivering a torture rack to Soho. So she ended up dropping Soho down to the canvas. She ended up going for the cover. Soho ended up kicking out. So we had Soho end up getting to her feet. Shida ended up climbing the turnbuckle, launched off the top turnbuckle, and we had Soho end up delivering a kick to Shida. So Soho ended up going for the cover. Shida ended up kicking out. So Soho ended up going to the corner to remove a turnbuckle pad before using the spray to catch, the ref's attention, to catch Aubrey Edwards' attention. And she was pretending that Shida sprayed her in the face. Soho ended up going down, and Aubrey Edwards was admonishing Shida, thinking that Shida sprayed Soho with the spray. So Soho ended up going to ringside for the AEW Women's World Championship. She tried to use it on Hikaru Shida, so Shida ended up spraying the AEW Women's World Championship with the spray paint. So Aubrey Edwards removed the title from the picture. Ruby ended up choking Shida out, and then she had pinned the Destination Unknown to Shida. So Soho ended up going for the cover, to which Shida ended up kicking out. So we had Shida end up hitting the Falcon Arrow to Soho. So Shida ended up going for the cover, which got reversed. Soho was sent into the turnbuckle, to the exposed turnbuckle. And then Shida ended up hitting the katana on Soho. So Shida ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Hikaru Shida ended up winning the match, retaining the AEW Women's World Championship. Post-match, Timeless Toni Storm ended up coming out. So that led to a confirmation that Toni Storm is getting a shot at Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship at Full Gear. So that should be pretty good, but loving, this Timeless Toni Storm, gimmick of hers is just great. But overall, match was just meh between Shida and Soho. And then we went to Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with MJF. She was speaking to MJF about his match on Collision on Saturday against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. And then Samoa Joe ended up coming in. Samoa Joe ended up offering to be MJF's friend when the time comes, on the condition that Joe gets his rematch for the AEW World Championship. So Samoa Joe, won his rematch for the AEW World Championship, and, offering to be MJF's friend. But that was pretty much that. The World Championship, just keeps on building layers and layers. So there you go. Main event: Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli versus Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada. This is Kazuchika Okada's debut on Dynamite here in AEW. And Kazuchika Okada, he's the Rainmaker. He headed down to the ring, and the crowd really popped for Okada. We had the money falling, which was cool. So Orange Cassidy made his way out first, before Okada. So then we had Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli end up making their way out. But this was a very good main event here. We had a stare down between all four men. Orange Cassidy ended up opening the ropes, saying that he can handle Bryan Danielson. So the match kicked off with Orange Cassidy and Bryan Danielson. Bryan ended up stopping Orange Cassidy, putting his hands in his pockets. He was delivering some strikes to Orange Cassidy. Bryan then focused on Orange Cassidy's arm, which was injured, and he ended up bringing Orange Cassidy to the corner. He ended up making the tag to Claudio. Claudio started wearing down on Orange Cassidy, and Claudio ended up calling out Okada to get into the ring. So Okada ended up tagging in. Both Claudio and Okada end up locking up. They end up getting to the ropes. Okada ended up turning things around. Claudio ended up rushing at Okada. So we had Okada end up going after Bryan, who ended up dropping to the floor. So Okada and Claudio were exchanging uppercuts to each other. So Okada then delivered a body slam to Claudio. Cassidy ended up tagging in, and Cassidy ended up going for a nonchalant splash onto Claudio. He ended up going for the cover, to which Claudio ended up kicking out. Claudio got back to his feet. He sent Orange Cassidy into the corner. He ended up hoisting up Orange Cassidy and dropped him on the top rope. Claudio then tagged in Bryan. Bryan ended up going off on Orange Cassidy. He ended up going for the cover, to which Cassidy ended up kicking out. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Orange Cassidy ended up fighting back Claudio, which he ended up sending Claudio out of the ring. So Claudio ended up stopping Cassidy from tagging in Okada. Cassidy tried to reverse things in his favor, but Claudio ended up lifting Cassidy up. Orange Cassidy ended up pinning the DDT to Claudio. Claudio then ended up getting the tag to Bryan, and Cassidy ended up taking in Okada. And this was great here. Okada and Bryan, these guys in the ring, they ended up staring each other down, and they remember what they went through at Forbidden Door. They were trading strikes at each other, and Okada ended up hitting the ropes. He ended up evading a clothesline from Bryan, and he ended up hitting a drop kick to Bryan. So Okada then ended up hitting the DDT on Bryan. So Okada ended up going for the cover. Bryan ended up kicking out. Okada headed to the top turnbuckle, and he was fended off by Bryan. Okada ended up dropping Bryan down hard. He ended up going for the cover, to which Bryan ended up kicking out. Bryan got back to his feet. He ended up driving down Okada with some kicks. So Bryan ended up going for the cover, and Okada ended up kicking out. And so Bryan ended up changing that into a label lock. Okada ended up rolling out of the label lock, but he was caught on his shoulders for a near fall, and Okada ended up reversing for a near fall of his own. So both Bryan and Okada got to their feet. They ended up taking each other down with a double cross body. Bryan ended up making it to his feet, and he tagged in Claudio. Cassidy ended up taking himself in. So Cassidy started off with some kicks on Claudio. So we had Cassidy ended up hitting the Stun Dog Millionaire to Claudio, which was followed up by a DDT. So Cassidy ended up going for the cover. Bryan broke up the pin. Bryan ended up getting sent out of the ring as Orange Cassidy was looking to go for his orange punch to Bryan, but he was caught into a giant swing by Claudio. So Claudio started swinging Orange Cassidy around. Claudio ended up putting Cassidy down for a Scorpion Deathlock. Okada then rushed in with a boot to break up the Scorpion Deathlock, but Claudio didn't let up easily. Claudio ended up getting dropped before Okada ended up going up to the top to deliver an elbow drop. So we had Orange Cassidy end up interrupting for a hug. So Cassidy ended up hugging Okada. They ended up giving the people what they want. So we had Okada end up hitting Bryan with the Rainmaker after Cassidy delivered an orange punch to Bryan. Cassidy ended up going after Claudio, but he was driven down hard for a pin. And so there you go. Bryan Danielson and Claudio ended up winning the match. And post-match, there was no celebration of Bryan and Claudio winning the match because Dr. Sampson ended up checking on Bryan, which led to the Best Friends and Yuta arriving to the ring to stare down each other. So Bryan was still being checked on as Dynamite went off the air. But hopefully, Bryan, will be all right. But overall, very good main event this was. Good seeing Bryan and Okada go at it again. And Okada is just absolutely great in the ring. But overall, very good Dynamite this was tonight. Really enjoyed it. It was much, much better than last week's show. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. There will be no SmackDown review on Friday, so won't be watching SmackDown. But anyways, until the next video, I'll see you all later.